All right, guys, this is Jeremy, DJM RC again. Just wanted to go over my wheels. I have beadlocks and non-beadlocks. These are the non-beadlocks. They have an extra flange, so the face screws on from here. They have a flange on both sides, so you glue the center to the wheel, or to the tire, and then the face bolts to it. That way you're not gluing to the face. They're super light. The carbon faced ones are 17 grams, which is pretty light for a wheel. They have a ton of clearance in here. It's like, they have a ton of clearance. I forget how much it is, but it's a lot. I could put that in the description. The carbon ones, screw goes from the outside. The aluminum ones, the holes are bigger. These are heavier. The carbon face, a 3 mil carbon face is like, I think about 7 grams. The aluminum ones are like 14 grams. They're machined in the US, so they're unfortunately not cheap. They're studs on the back, 2 mil screws, and then the flange here, or it's like up, so you'll need like a 3 mil shorter hub to keep the same width if you want, because it comes out here so that the screws can be countersunk like this. Sit down in there like that. The aluminum ones have big holes. It's hard to do this one-handed, but line them up. Let's see here. Line them up, and it just pushes down in there. Screws going from the back. Look pretty cool. That's what I run on here. Screws from the back. Aluminum faces. They're like 20, I think 26 grams a wheel for the back, or for the aluminum face version. Faces are in silver or raw and black for now. I have a bunch of faces still at the machinist. Once I start selling these ones more, I will do short runs of colors: purple, red, green, blue, gold. Just there'll be small runs, probably like 2-3 sets of wheels a piece. The beadlock ones, same deal. Airplane, always airplanes. These are old prototype set of wheels, but the holes are big for the countersunk studs go in there. And then these have grooves, so it lines up so you can get your Allen key pretty straight. You want to use a good Allen key when putting these ones together, especially. It's a 1.3 mil head on the 2 mil machine screw button heads. So you want a good, I use MIPS drivers for these. These are the carbon face ones. They're the same on both sides. I run all the screws on the front. I feel like it's driving the car, especially on the front axle, so you want all these little screws in here. The back ring, I only run every other screw. And then these are the aluminum ones. I've been running these a long time now. Never slipped a bead, never spun a tire, nothing. Run printed rear rings. They work fine. They're like the same weight as the carbon ones. They just don't look as cool. The wheels come with these just because you don't really need the carbon, but if you want it, the carbon rings you can add those on. I only run every other one, and you can see the screws in here. These are old prototype version. They're black screws. These screws sucked, so I don't use them. Took me a long time to find good screws. They were consistent. So these are currently what will be sold with. They're silver stainless screws. They're a lot more consistent diameter. When the screw gets that small, the inconsistency in diameter was not fun to deal with, but yeah, so these work good. They go on real easy. The hanger's super low, the weight is compact. This hanger weighs the same as an aluminum loaded dice deluxe full of slugs. Just adding one more slug, really all it takes to make a printed one weigh the same. But you can see the weight's really compact. I had to do that, 2 reasons. 1, I wanted it the weight as low as possible. 2, to get the weight to fit through between the, once you add screws, you have to make that hole a lot smaller, and then it's also a lot thicker because it has to have threads to screw into. But yeah, so it just fits right over, comes right off, really easy. Same thing on deluxe knuckles. The bolt pattern is just deluxe bolt pattern, but yeah, these go on the same. On, off, super easy. The centers have to be, because the way these centers work, they because they're printed, there's like, you know, there's inherent flex. You can't make that as strong as stiff as aluminum, so they can't rely purely on just clamping really tight. So the bead profile in here actually curls up, so the hole stretches the bead just a tiny bit. It's still legal. This is like 67.8 or whatever they need to be, but they stretch the bead a little bit, which makes it, and then this has like a curl up, so when you clamp it in there, it's actually pushing the bead up in there, so it's locking the bead, and the bead is staying hooked to the wheel without needing a lot of clamping force. So it works really good. It's a little bit tough to get these on. You really have to, when you put it in, I have one here, I can't really probably do it good with one hand, but you want to push the tire down and the rim up, and then you just kind of have to work it in. You want to just use your fingers, and you kind of just work it in. I usually put it, like I'll sit on a chair and I'll put it on the ball of my knee here, and then you can just work it in, work your way around, and then once you get it in, you need to make sure that bead is pushed in there good and seated, because like I said, it's not relying on just clamping. So if you miss a little section, you just clamp it down, it'll give it a little spot to pull out, and then eventually that will come out. But as long as you get it in there, I know like feedback is the first one's pretty tough, but once you figure it out, it goes pretty quick. I can put these together, I don't know, 15 minutes or so a wheel. So you get it in there, it's already come back out, but then you just line the screws up. The first 2 screws are the hardest, and you don't want to just screw it all the way down. Put it in just so it stops, goes directly across, screw it in until it stops. That'll hold the bead in, and then you can just put all the screws in. I usually go every other and just snug them down, not all the way tight. You know, you want to work your way around. So freaking airplanes. You want to work your way around, so I go across and then I do every other, and as you tighten them, each one, it's going to pull it down a little more, a little more, a little more. So by the time you get all the way around, it should be pretty good. And then you can just put them all in, and then the back's a lot easier to line up. But yeah, do the front face first and then the back. Once you get the hang of it, they're pretty easy to put together. I take them apart, put them back together quite a bit in testing, and as long as you're not cranking these down, they're good screws. They're not pointy at the end. They thread all the way to the end. There's threads, so they have pretty good purchase for a short screw. But you are threading into plastic, so you want to just till they stop. They don't need to be reefed down. But the new ones have double the holes, so if you do strip them out, you can turn it, you know, halfway, and you'll have all new holes. Yeah, I think that's about it. These are cool. I'm planning on building a MOA car that's under 3 pounds, so that's what I have these for. Should be cool. All right, that's the wheels.